What if I told you that the bread you love might be hiding some secrets? Secrets that could make you think twice about biting into that warm, fluffy slice. You may never look at bread the same way after hearing what I'm about to tell you. I know, bread has been around for centuries. It's the star of every sandwich, the sidekick to soups, and the trusty breakfast companion. But what if this ancient food isn't as healthy as we think? Today, we're breaking down the surprising truths about bread, what it can do to your body, and how to make smarter choices when choosing bread. Let's get into it. Truth number 1. Good bread versus bad bread. What's the difference? First things first, not all bread is the same. There are good types of bread and bad types of bread. So, what's the difference? Imagine 2 loaves sitting on a shelf. One is whole grain or sourdough, packed with nutrients, fiber, and healthy stuff that makes your tummy happy and gives you energy for hours. This is good bread. Whole grain bread contains all the parts of the grain: bran, germ, and endosperm, which means it's loaded with vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Your body needs these things to stay strong and healthy. Now, meet bad bread. This is usually white bread or highly processed bread that looks fluffy and soft. It's stripped of its goodness. No fiber, no nutrients, just empty calories. This bread can spike your blood sugar levels quickly, making you feel full 1 minute and super hungry the next. You may be thinking, bread is bread, right? Not quite. Understanding the difference between these two can change how you think about bread forever. Truth number 2. The myths and misconceptions. Here's where things get confusing. Everyone seems to have an opinion about bread. Some say it's terrible for you. Others swear by it as a must-have in a balanced diet. The truth is, not all bread is the villain. Health experts, even the big shots at the USDA, recommend eating whole grains because they're packed with nutrients your body craves. Whole grains are like the A-team. They keep the good parts like bran and germ, making them full of fiber and vitamins. But wait, here's the problem. Not every loaf sitting on the grocery shelf is whole grain. Most processed breads have had their good parts removed. Some people think all bread is bad, but that's not true. The key is knowing which types of bread to pick. And if that wasn't tricky enough, enter the debate about bioengineered ingredients and GMOs. You've probably heard about these, right? Some say they're helpful for making food in bigger amounts, while others worry about their safety and long-term health effects. The truth is, they're not all bad, but it's worth understanding what's in your bread before you chow down. Sorting out these misconceptions helps you make smarter choices at the grocery store. Truth number 3. Gluten, the sticky story. Now let's talk about gluten, the glue that holds bread together. For most people, gluten is just fine. It makes bread chewy and gives it that soft texture. But for some, gluten is like a tricky little prankster hiding in their food. People with gluten sensitivities or celiac disease have a hard time with this protein. Eating it can cause stomach aches, bloating, and even damage the lining of the small intestine. Ouch. But that's not all. Gluten can also mess with your brain. Yep. Some studies say gluten might trigger cravings and make you want to eat more. Kind of like how you can't stop munching on chips once you start. It's not just in your head. Gluten can actually affect your brain chemistry, making you feel like you need that slice of bread, even when you don't. Oh, and did you know that modern wheat has even more gluten than it did in the past? Farmers have bred wheat to have higher gluten content to make bread fluffier and more elastic. Great for baking, but maybe not so great for your tummy. The bottom line? Understanding gluten's role in bread can help you decide if it belongs in your diet or if you might want to explore some gluten-free options. Truth number 4. Bread and health problems. Okay, here's the real deal. For some people, bread can be a troublemaker when it comes to health. Let's start with celiac disease. This is an autoimmune disorder where the body sees gluten as an enemy and attacks the small intestine every time you eat it. Imagine trying to build a sandcastle and a wave keeps crashing it down. That's what's happening inside when someone with celiac disease eats gluten. It wrecks their ability to absorb nutrients, causing all sorts of problems like tiredness, stomach pain, and even weak bones. But even if you don't have celiac disease, gluten can still be an issue. it's linked to inflammation in the body, which can make other health problems worse. For example, some people with autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's thyroiditis may notice that eating bread makes their symptoms flare up. And here's the kicker. Autoimmune diseases are on the rise. More and more people are finding out they have conditions where their bodies are super sensitive to certain foods, like bread. So, what do you do if bread seems to be causing you issues? You might want to try gluten-free bread to see if it makes a difference. It's not just a trend. For some folks, it's a lifesaver. Knowing how bread and gluten can impact your health empowers you to make better choices that work for you. Truth number 5. Healthy bread alternatives. Good news. Not all bread is bad news. There are plenty of healthier bread options out there that can actually make you feel great. Ever heard of ancient grains like iron corn flour? They're like the superheroes of bread grains, packed with vitamins, minerals, and other good stuff. Plus, they contain less gluten, so they're easier on your belly if you're sensitive to gluten. Then there are bread alternatives made with almond flour, coconut flour, or quinoa. These breads are lower in carbs and add a unique flavor and texture to your meals. Imagine biting into a slice that's not just fluffy, but also crunchy and nutty. Yum. They don't cause those sudden sugar spikes either, so you won't feel that crash after eating. Fermented and sprouted breads are another awesome choice. Fermentation boosts the nutrients in bread and helps your gut with good bacteria. It's like giving your tummy a little party with every bite. Sprouted grains are easier to digest and can increase the amount of vitamins in the bread. So, by choosing these alternatives, you can enjoy bread while staying healthy and happy. Truth number 6. Bread around the world. Why European bread is different. Ever gone to Europe and wondered why their bread tastes so much better? It's not just in your head. European countries like France and Italy have a completely different approach to bread making. They use high-quality ingredients, traditional methods, and care about every loaf. Local bakeries are the stars of the show, baking fresh bread daily without using tons of preservatives. You buy a loaf, you eat it, and it's gone. No need for a shelf life that lasts weeks. In America, it's a different story. Bread here is made to last, which means adding preservatives, chemicals, and even extra sugar to keep it fresh-looking for a long time. Plus, there's more gluten in American bread, which makes it fluffier but also harder to digest for some people. Europe has strict rules about what goes into bread, banning many of the preservatives used in American bread. That's why their bread not only tastes better but is often healthier too. So, next time you're at the bakery, you might want to channel your inner European and go for the fresh artisan loaf. Truth number 7. Chemicals in your bread. Yikes. Now, let's talk about something sneaky that's hiding in some breads. Chemicals. Yep. Some bread contains stuff that's not so great for you. Take glyphosate, for example. It's a chemical used in farming to kill weeds, but it can end up in the wheat used to make bread. Some research links glyphosate to health risks like cancer, which is why there's a push for stricter rules on its use. And that's not all. Have you ever toasted bread until it's super crispy and golden? Well, that crunch might come with a side of acrylamide, a chemical formed when foods are cooked at high temperatures. Acrylamide has been flagged as a potential cancer risk, which isn't exactly what you had in mind for breakfast, right? The good news? You don't have to give up bread completely. Just be picky about which bread you buy. Check the labels for natural ingredients and avoid those with a laundry list of chemicals. The simpler, the better. The power to make the best choices is always in your hands. So, there you have it. Bread is not as simple as it seems, and knowing the ins and outs can make a big difference for your health. We've covered the good and bad types of bread, busted some myths, explored gluten's tricky role, and even looked at healthier alternatives. The next time you're at the store, you'll know exactly what to look for. Choose bread that nourishes your body, not just fills your belly. Remember, bread doesn't have to be the enemy. It's all about picking the right kind that works for you and your body. Whether you're choosing whole grain, sprouted, or even exploring some fun alternatives like almond flour bread, every small change counts. Healthier bread means happier meals, so go ahead and experiment with these new options. Want more? Watch our next video by clicking here.